Back to order. Okay, I know that we do have some guests here today with us. I would like to take the time to give those guests a minute to introduce themselves. I know the one that I was emailed about is Mr. Don Headland, if I pronounced your last name correctly, sir. Looking for possible membership to the VAC. If you'd like to take this time, Don, to introduce yourself, go right ahead.
Hello, guys. I'm Don Headland. I'm a board member of the Oregon Paralyzed Vets of America. I am a membership director for this chapter. We are the sister chapter to the national chapter of the Paralyzed Vets of America. I'm a disabled veteran. I'm paralyzed for 36 years now, hurt in the United States Navy. I'm service connected, and I know a lot, very much, about all different veteran issues that we face as guys in wheelchairs, girls in wheelchairs, people in wheelchairs. There's a lot involved with our daily lives when it comes to not only the advocacy part, but also like the medical issues, and also just being there to help service our veterans. So that's why I'm here. I want to help serve veterans of Clackamas County. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. We appreciate you being here and appreciate all the work that you do for all of our vets. It's enough can't be said for that. We also have Mr. Scott Clemens, who we'll be hearing more from later today, but I would like to give him a chance to introduce himself. If you'd like, Mr. Clemens.
Sure, thanks, Adam. Yes, I am an former Army interrogator, served active duty in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and then was subsequently called up as a reservist for Iraqi freedom. But why I'm here today is because I am Clackamas County's newest community outreach specialist in the Office of Public and Government Affairs. And I specifically support several of the divisions in our, I'm going to try and get all these H's right, Health, Housing, and Human Services Department, including Social Services, under which the Veterans Service Office works. And I've already been working really closely with Gus and Brenda and other folks to develop a plan for helping improve the visibility and hopefully the amount of service that our VSO provides to the community. And I'll be telling you about that later.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. And welcome. Thank you for your service as well to the both of you. Next is establishment of a quorum. It looks like we do have one, right? We do. Okay, excellent. Okay, next is the adoption of the minutes from the prior meeting. Do we have a motion to adopt the minutes or any changes to the minutes? A motion?
I make a motion that the minutes are approved as presented.
Second.
Excellent. We have a second. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Next is the chair's report. Before I get started with the chair's report, I just want to discuss something real quick as far as it pertains to how we conduct these meetings in terms of communication. So based on Robert's Rules of Order, we do have to maintain order of who speaks and the process of that. So it can't be a free-for-all type of deal that we've been doing in the past. So I do want to be more have more order to that in that sense, because it is required that we do that based on Robert's rules. So if whoever's speaking, if you would like to speak on an issue, just use the raise hand function, and I will call on you as you've, in the order that you've raised your hand, just so we can keep and maintain some order and be sure that we're adhering to the proper rules that are assigned to us. And it gives everybody a chance to speak without any interruptions as well. Moving on with that, with the chair's report, there is a call for executive officer nominations. We do have an election coming up here. I don't know exactly, when is could you remind me when the election is, or remind all of us? Amy or Brenda?
So the plan is to have nominations over the course of this month. And then at our next meeting that will take place in April, we will accept any more nominations and go ahead and take a vote on that.
Thank you, Amy. And just a little more information on there. We are out of our normal timeframe. For officers, we've had 2 resignations. Both Jerry and Scott have had to step back from their roles on the executive committee. So this election is, again, is sort of not on our normal timeframe, but we have some vacancies that need to be filled. And if I could also just ask that if you're not speaking, to please keep your phone on mute. I'd really appreciate that. I think everyone would. Okay, thanks.
Hey, Casey, I see your hand up.
What positions are we nominating people for?
All 3. So chair, vice chair, and secretary.
So are nominations open now? Okay. I nominate Adam as president or chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So what we'll do is we can take nominations now. You can also submit nominations to Amy. We will present a full slate of nominated folks prior to our next meeting, and then we will vote at our April meeting. So nominations now or via email, slate will be presented, and then we'll vote next month.
I appreciate the nomination. Thank you, Casey. And thank you, Brenda, for clarifying that and explaining that for me. Next on the chair's report, we have future VAT presentation to the BCC. Obviously, we do have to present to the Board of County Commissioners. I don't know exactly when that, do we know when that is again? Could you refresh my memory? I'm so sorry.
Point of order. I believe that we still have 2 other nominations that we should be taking for vice chair and secretary.
Okay.
And if I could, I would nominate RB for vice chair.
Okay. Do we want to take nominations now? Take a little bit of time for just to have some nominees, because I know we do have some time until the election, but if anybody else, if we want to take nominations now, we do have some time to do that. And then we can move forward if you guys would like to do it that way. So we do have a nomination for vice chair as well. Does anybody have a nomination for secretary?
And I'll say what often happens in these situations is we identify 1 or 2 people who are interested in recruiting members for the officer position. So if we don't have a full slate today and we don't get anything via email, you can perhaps expect a phone call with some encouragement. Lori, the raised hand function you can find under reactions. So if you click on your reactions button at the bottom of your screen, a raised hand option should be there once you hit on the reactions button.
Okay.
Gus, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, just a point of clarification too. Say we have a situation where, like the secretary as an example, nobody gets nominated for it. Is there an option where somebody could request to volunteer or have somebody nominate them, such as like maybe one of our new members may want to try, cut their teeth on a position like that versus having a chair or vice chair position as an example? And
Yes, you can nominate yourself.
okay, perfect. So that's just a plug to a couple of our new members. If this is something you want to do, that could be a way of getting a little bit more involved as well. So just a plug.
Thank you, Gus. Also, just to clarify, the secretary position, because I actually was a secretary for a while. You don't have to take like notes or do any writing. We have the wonderful and amazing Amy Kelsey, who already does that for you. So it's really just another executive position role to be had within the executive meetings. And I was actually going to nominate Janet because of what she brings to the table. I think even though even as a new member, she has a very specific viewpoint that some of us don't as a parent. And I think you know, just hearing her story and what she's been through, and I think her being here and just wanting to be a part of this, I think she'd be an asset to have on the executive council if she would accept that nomination.
Thanks, Adam. I'll also share that the primary additional responsibility that you have as an executive committee member is attending another meeting. About an hour, usually we're done a little bit earlier. Primary role is to create the agenda, but it's also an opportunity to review some issues that come up at a meeting, sort of discuss next steps. So there is another 1 hour commitment plus some additional sort of thought and consideration time in general. And I'm sorry, Janet, I think I might have spoken on top of you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was actually going to email and see what else was involved and see about potentially getting involved, because that was going to be one of my questions. How else can I be involved? So I appreciate the nomination. So thank you.
Thank you. Paul, is that, I'm assuming that's the check is to speak on. Did you want to, is that the hand raise?
Yes, I think that I would like to see Larry Mosley, also somebody who's highly, no. Okay, he's been there before. Okay, but he's got the knowledge of all of the stuff that's happening, and his knowledge is invaluable.
Paul, did you want to specify a position for that nomination? You can also, of course, decline the nomination. It's not like you have to serve.
Yeah, I was going to also put Larry's name up for secretary because
I think Larry is respectfully declining the nomination, if I'm reading his hands correctly.
Okay, so remember, we're not, we do have some more time, so feel free to think about it and take some time to think about it and email your nominations in if you have any, and feel free to nominate yourself as well. Moving forward on the chair report, the future VAC presentation to the BCC. If we can get back to that, do we know that, again, do we know when that is?
No, we don't. So I need to check with county administrator to find out what would be a good date. For those of you who've been around for a year or so, we do have a commitment to come before the Board of County Commissioners a couple of times a year with updates. So this will be our semi-annual update to the board. But yeah, Adam, I'll get working on the date for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Last but not least, on the chair's report, upcoming member orientation. I really did like the member orientation that we had. I thought that was very helpful. And I'm looking forward to it continuing, especially for our new members. I think it'll give them a lot of clarity and a little bit more responsibility as well. So do we know, when is it, do we have a date for that as well?
Before we move on there, Adam, just a little bit more on the BCC meeting. At the executive committee, we identified a couple of things that we wanted to update the board on. And Adam, I think we wanted to run that list past this group to make sure we weren't missing any opportunities. So apologize, I don't have my notes in front of me. I believe we were going to talk about the survey results, the planning for the Veterans Behavioral Health Summit. Am I missing anything else?
And we are also going to discuss our latest outreach efforts.
Outreach efforts, great,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
So is there anything else that this group feels like would be important for the Board of County Commissioners to hear directly from our membership? Again, if you have any thoughts, go ahead and email myself, Amy, or Adam. And then I think at our next meeting, Adam, we can sort of finalize the agenda for that meeting, and I'll have a date for us by that next meeting as well.
Thank you.
And real quick, sorry, Adam.
Oh, okay.
Brenda, I think we were still thinking if it was possible to doing it right around that Memorial Day-ish
Right.
timeframe, right? Because of the significance of veterans, that particular holiday. So we don't know for sure, but that'll give folks a little bit of a time frame.
Thank you. And Adam has put his email in the chat in case you want to email him directly.
All righty. Now moving on to the next item on the agenda. I'm excited for this one, the County Veteran Services Office report around outreach with Gus Bedwell and special guest Scott Clemens. If you guys want to take it over from here.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. And so I'm going to just talk about primarily. There's going to be three things in this agenda item plus the next one that come from the County Veteran Service Office. I just want to put a plug real quick. I actually asked Heather Mewald to come with us today as a County Veteran Service Office to talk a little bit about some of the changes in the VA world. If we don't get a chance to do her presentation, I would like to ask and request that we invite myself and Heather back again to be able to talk a little bit about that, because I think there's some really good things that are going to be happening for veterans on behalf of Agent Orange exposure and Gulf War. So, but for right now, I'm gonna talk a little bit about outreach and communication plan and why Scott Clemens is here, and he's going to talk a little bit about the work that we're doing as well. So, as we all know, the pandemic has really just kind of made it to where our outreach efforts went to nothing. Basically, we weren't really able to go out in the community and talk about the work that we as veteran service officers do, talk about how the VA can help them. In general, we just could not connect in a very impactful way in the way that we used to in the past. As we have been shifting from pandemic to hopefully now endemic at some point where a lot of this is behind us, we are looking at outreach and what do we do and what's the most effective ways in this new world to do outreach with veterans and get more individuals interested in the County Veteran Service Office and the work we do. And as I said, there's been significant changes even in the VA benefits world that we really want people to know about, because it can make a difference between them getting benefits or not getting benefits. So one of those tactics that we've deployed is well, this. We have learned in this pandemic that we can do a lot in a virtual world, and we can do a hybrid type environment where basically we have some in-person stuff and we have some virtual world. But also, how do we maximize and leverage our social media? How do we leverage that other types of communication that's not this one-on-one or one in a group kind of conversation? And so having Scott and his team from Public Government Affairs participating in that, and they actually put it together a very robust communication plan to help us in this outreach effort. And so what I'm going to do is stop talking and just kind of turn this over to Scott. And let him kind of go through the communication plan and what that means for us and what we're looking to do in the near future. So go ahead, Scott.
Hey, thanks, Gus. Yeah, and when we were initially approached by the Veteran Service Office, their initial ask of us was specifically for a social media campaign. And I think that it is very possible for social media to be a part of a campaign. But just to give you a little bit of backstory, for those of you who aren't super familiar with it, basically, if you're not paying for social media, it's not going to be seen by the people that you want it to be seen by. The county, for example, we have about 25,000 people who follow our Facebook account. If we just post something on Facebook and don't pay for it, maybe 2,500 of those 25,000 people will see it. So, and we don't know which 2,500 of those 25,000 are going to see it. That's pretty much up to Facebook and their magic algorithm. So I came back to Gus and explained that, yes, we certainly could do social media, but a paid social media campaign would be much more effective in targeting the folks that we're looking like. And I also came up with some other tactics that did not involve cost that I thought might also be effective. For example, the statistics were shocking to me that less than 1/3 of Oregon veterans claim all of the benefits that they deserve from the VA. That seems like something that news media might latch onto as a potential story, particularly if we're able to come up with a back of the envelope calculation as to how much money is actually being left on the table by veterans who are not claiming what they're owed. It would also be very helpful, and Gus and Heather are both working with me right now to try and achieve this, if we could find some success stories about how the VSO's efforts helped land veterans, a lot of money that they might not otherwise have claimed. In addition to news media, and because news media, of course, obviously, the second you talk to a reporter, you lose control of the story. But of course, the county itself, we have our own media outlets like our monthly e-newsletter and our semi-annual print magazine. And in fact, I have pitched and am working right now on a story for that semi-annual print magazine that goes to every household in Clark, excuse me. Sorry, I live north of the river, so I'm always getting my counties mixed up. Clackamas County. And then also, just because of where both Vietnam era and new veterans hang out, and Gus did specifically identify both of those categories of veterans as kind of the key audiences that we're looking to reach. We think it may even just something as simple as a brochure or a flyer or other information where they are that they can read and consume and learn more about the services that are available to them. So when we first started talking about this, we weren't even talking about a campaign with a budget. So those are unbudgeted things that we talked about, but then Gus subsequently told me that we do have a budget. And so I started consulting with our social media gurus here in Public and Government Affairs. And we think that a paid social media campaign can reach part, not all, but a significant part of those veterans in the county that are not getting the benefits that they're owed. And we estimate that that could be as many as 17,000. We think that a Facebook and Instagram at least could probably reach 1/3 to 1/2 of those 17,000 veterans based on identification as a veteran in their social media profile, or identifying themselves as being interested in veterans' benefits or veterans' health issues. We recognize too that there are a lot of folks out there in the social media world who are veterans but don't really publicly identify themselves as such, particularly amongst communities of color or LGBTQ+ and folks like that. So we did not study that hidden audience to determine how well we might be able to reach that audience as well. But with a fairly aggressive campaign, we do think that we should be able to, we could reach maybe as many as half of those 17,000 veterans who are owed benefits that they have not yet claimed via social media. And then hopefully using some of these other unpaid tactics, we can try to reach the rest. Gus, I'm not sure how much more into the weeds you want me to get or any additional detail you wanted me to add, but I mean, that's the framework of the campaign that we are looking at right now. And I'll hand it back to you guys to talk further or prompt me to answer any further questions.
And thank you for that, Scott. I'm just going to say two things real quick to kind of add to this conversation and then open it up for questions. One is, as the supervisor for the County Veteran Service Office, one of my main goals really is to increase the number of individuals who are seeking our services and accessing our office. And so really, when we look at outreach efforts, that's one of the things we're always looking at is how can we increase those folks who are coming in our door or accessing our office via phone mail or email and that type of thing. And then the second thing is we know, like Scott said, less than 1 in 3 in the state of Oregon who have identified as a veteran are still to this day accessing VA benefits. That's a very low number statistically. And so what we know is we know individuals that are not accessing benefits for a number of reasons. And for me, with the significant changes that has happened within the VA structure with benefits in general, especially around Agent Orange and soon to be Gulf War veterans, I know we have folks out there who have engaged the VA, been told no once before and think, well, that's it. I'm done. I got told no once in the story, right? We really want to emphasize the message that a no yesterday could be a yes today, but you won't know until you apply. And so we definitely have to get in front of them and encourage them to apply. So there's a lot more I could say about this, but we have a limited amount of time and I imagine there's questions. So Adam, I'll turn it back over to you to call on people for questions.
Thank you very much, Gus, and thank you, Scott, for the presentation. Please, again, if you have a question or comments, please make sure you use the raise hand icon so we can call on you in order. Tito, I see you with your hand raised.
Well, thank you both for your presentations on this. Gus, thank you for addressing one of the concerns that I've been hearing right now. I've spoken with representatives from the VA and from the Vet Center over the last couple of months, at least. Basically, you are having veterans that are having getting a decrease in different benefits and award letters. They've been approved for some, for a certain percentage, and then almost immediately have that overturned again. So yes, I understand what you're saying, that a no today might not be the same answer tomorrow, but when you do get a yes, and then you get another decision 2 months later saying, oops, we made a mistake and you shouldn't be getting 50, 60%, you should be getting, well, 0. How are we prepared to have these kind of discussions with some of those VA representatives on how we can, on the impact of what that does to people that are already having a hard time even asking for help, and yet having these kind of what that does to them on an emotional and level?
Yeah, so Tito, I'm just going to say it's a really good question, and I want to be very careful that I don't get way deep in the woods as a veteran service officer in general, and I know Felicia and Heather could really talk about this as well. But what I want to be really crystal clear about is that each claim that somebody applies for, although there are rules and laws that govern claims in general, each claim is very individual based. And so for us, a lot of times we hear these themes out in the community and we want to be part of the solution. But sometimes there's things that the person's not even aware of that's going on behind the scenes or even in their own individual claim. But the value of sitting down with one of us is that we can sit there and explain, now this is why this is happening. And here are the steps we can take to go down the next path of either A, preventing it, or B, maybe there's an alternative direction to go. Because the reality is, I'm just going to say this, unless you have the permanent and total tag on your service-connected disability, the VA has the option and the ability to reevaluate you if there's something that says there might be improvement. I don't want to go in a lot of great detail on that. Glad to give somebody a one-on-one lesson or come back to this group and give a bigger lesson on that. But that really is the bottom line. So each case is a little bit unique. The other thing I will also offer is, and this is probably like the bane of our existence sometimes, there'll be a theory or a rumor out there that just grabs hold and it just runs like a wildfire. And like I said, it's a theory or rumor. So it's not really true. Just because it happened to 1 or 2 people, it's like, well, it must have happened to 1,000 people. So that's one of the things I think is the value in us doing outreach, is we could really answer some of those questions and say, I understand why you believe that based upon this, this, and this, but let me tell you what's really happening. Let me tell you why this is really happening right now. Let me tell you why you're hearing more about it. And let's talk about what we can do next. So I hope that kind of answers that question, Tito. I'm glad to go into detail in another setting, though, for sure.
Paul, did you have a question?
Excuse me. My concern is that I get these internet things saying sign up and get my military ID card so that I can go out and present that to get discounts and stuff. But somehow they have my name as a veteran, and this is an unsolicited going at me. And I'm just trying to figure out, would someplace somewhere in this cloud, they've got a lot of information, and some people are using it and some are not. And I just would think that we should be able to take advantage, somehow link into that and use that as a vehicle, because I think what Scott has talked about is exactly what I was hoping and praying what you guys would be doing, because I'm with you that there's probably a lot of people out there that just don't know that they're entitled to benefits that are available to them, and how aggressively to go out and do that. I think we should make sure we don't not turn over every possible stone that can be turned over to try to create an ability to have connections. Thank you.
Yeah, and Gus, I'm not sure if you wanted me to chime in here, but yeah, Paul, I would just say that the nice thing about social media is it does give you the ability to identify pretty specifically the target audience that you want to try and reach. So my social media manager and I sat down and we developed, a mock campaign outline in terms of the audience, and we can specifically target people in Clackamas County, and we can specifically target people, and sorry, I should specify that this is Facebook and Instagram. Twitter, we haven't explored too much yet, but it'll probably be similar. But on Facebook and Instagram, we can also target people who have self-identified as veterans, or who have identified as an interest, either veterans health or veterans benefits. So if you put all of those together, you end up with a potential target audience of about 65 to maybe 7,500 people in the county. Now, of course, the thing that we also have is we have veterans supporters. We've got friends and family members who are not veterans themselves and maybe haven't even identified on their social media profile that they care about issues like these. But being able to reach out and say, hey, you may know a veteran like this who maybe has not done this, or had a really bad experience with the VA a long time ago, but things have changed and they should come back in and talk to us again because maybe we can help them now. So it's going to be an interesting experiment trying to slice and dice the audience and make sure that we're reaching all the different people that we want to reach. The good news is that Gus and Brenda have come to me with a pretty aggressive budget that I think will allow us to do that really well.
Janet, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I think that one of the things that I've been thinking about since the last meeting, and then thinking about the outreach, is that the small number, the low percentage of vets that claim their benefits, but not every vet out there is looking for, whether or not they're looking for it, if they deserve it, they should get them. But what I feel as a family member is that we're looking for our veteran is a network for them, that they're not necessarily having a lot of problems. They need a social network. They can be lonely because it's hard to make friends as an adult, unless you make work friends. And I think I see that as a need that's out there. So I think the angle of always, we want to, and I don't know how this messaging would look to those you're trying to reach, like, we can help you, we can help you, we can help you. But that, not everyone really is looking for that, or that message falls on deaf ears. And so if it's more like through, say, Nextdoor, Meetup, those type of things where they have commonalities and they turn out to be veterans, maybe they're targeting, somehow we target veterans, then have those conversations with them. Maybe there's a facilitator or somebody that, encourages them from more of a social standpoint, like, hey, I know this guy or this gal, you should talk to them. It sounds like you're having some problems. So I know it's very important to focus on those that are facing homelessness, that need, jobs, that need, job training, help with resumes and all of that. But some of that, just that connection that is missing when you're no longer part of the, the active military, I think is something that's really, could be a different angle of I think, fishing, or what do you call it? Like pulling people in, so that's just one of my thoughts.
And if I may, for just a minute, I mean, I'll say that most of our emphasis is around education for, when it comes to outreach, education to veterans and their family members on what's available from the VA for them in a benefits package, obviously. But the fact that we have individuals on our staff who've been doing this for as long as we have, and we have individuals who are veterans who understand basically what you just said, Janet. I think the thing is we're not just educating on benefits, although that's our main focus and trying to get people to access those benefits. We are all talking about those types of things. We are doing the plug into our, like to Ken around employment, to other aspects of things that are the social needs, working with Tito and Aaron when we have a veteran who is interested in housing and what to do there. So I think, the big thing I would just emphasize is that our outreach efforts are really educational, informative based, in the sense that we want to get people to access the services that Clackamas County offers to them as a veteran, and even the state of Oregon offers to them. The claims work, we try to get folks to either come into us in our office and do the claims work, or for that matter, one of the things we've noticed some people do is they're really happy about doing phone appointments, and we can start doing that process. So, and I'll just tell you, just a plug out to Felicia and the hard work she's doing with Larry and other folks on this team around just identifying ways to do that outreach in a most effective way. So.
Lori, I see your hand up.
I'm glad Janet brought up that information about how the veterans need to connect with other veterans. There's a group out there called the Fallen Outdoors, and it's for veterans that are interested in outdoors, and they network with fellow veterans, and they're on Facebook. And there is a West Coast branch, the Fallen Outdoors West Coast. And what they do is they get veterans together, like Janet mentioned, to collaborate and to have coffee clutches and to get together, because a lot of them, when they leave this active service, they feel lost, and this way they would have some camaraderie and also connect with other veterans. So that is available. And Janet, thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Lori. Casey, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, also in response to Janet, one thing is, I know one of the things that we had with veterans during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars is they would come back and they weren't having any problems, and they go, I don't want to take somebody's slot at the VA, so I'm not going to sign up. Well, everybody gets a slot. Nobody's ever turned away. It's not that kind of a deal. But for every military person that signs up with the VA, that VA gets more money for their care. So the more people that are signed up with the VA, the better the care gets at the VA, because the more money they get. Their funding is based on the numbers of people that they serve. And we know, and the VA knows, that there are thousands of people out there, of veterans throughout the state of Oregon who were eligible for VA care, but did not sign up for a multitude of reasons. So it's really, really important that that through the VSO office, that they are getting them signed up with the VA. Secondly, is there are so many social organizations out there for veterans that are available within this state and Southwest Washington. There are hundreds. There are hundreds. There are so many out there that is something that we could possibly help. You know, we could start getting that list and maybe start putting it out in, you know, our little flyer or our little card that we're gonna have, and you know, maybe on our website we highlight 2 or 3 each month. We put new 2 or 3 of those organizations out there. There's Team Red, White, and Blue. There's Operation Enduring Warriors. There's what's that? There's that fly fishing group that's a national program. There's so many out there. It's hard to remember how many there are. There's the Central Oregon Veterans Ranch. Each region has their own veterans Facebook page and groups. It goes on and on and on. So maybe that is something that we can help highlight to get that information out to those veterans. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you, Casey. Janet, I do see your hand up, but real quick, we do have another topic to move on to. I don't want to, this is a very important topic though. So we can either spend more time. Gus has messaged me saying he's free to, he doesn't mind moving the next topic, which is a survey, but that's also important. We can move that forward or move that to the next meeting, or we can is it possible to continue this discussion for the next meeting? Because I would like to continue this discussion. Is that something we can do? Brenda, is Brenda here? Yes, we can. Okay. So we'll go ahead and continue this discussion on the next meeting, which is April, and then we'll move on today for the survey because that's another very important topic. So any additional thoughts that you guys have, please keep that in mind for the next meeting, or if you'd like to email with each other back and forth, that's fine as well, to open up a chain that way if we're allowed to do that. But I would like to move on to the next thing on the discussion, which is the survey discussion on next steps. Gus, you want to take that one?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. And first thing I want to just say is I really appreciate this conversation that we were just having. Very robust, very good. It kind of segues very nicely into what we learned from the survey and the results of the survey. And so I'm gonna give a little bit of background real quick for folks who are new and don't know what we did with the survey. I did send a report and gave it to everybody in the chat. But you know, here's the thing is the goal of the survey was to hear from veterans, their family members, and other community members about how the county can better support them while living in the county. This report lays out the distribution, highlighted results, analysis, and next steps with recommendations, some raw data. And we really crystal clear on the raw data. It literally was word for word what people gave me in the survey results, whether I got it in handwriting or the electronic version that Amy had access to that she sent to me. So you're going to see some comments in there that you're like, oh, okay, because it's exactly what the person said when they did a survey. So I want to be really crystal clear about that. So some highlight of the results, you know, as of the date of this report, which was about 3 weeks ago, we had 55 survey totals. This survey was out there for approximately 6 months, a little shy of 6 months. It was given at our front lobby downstairs in our social services building. It was at our front lobby at the veterans. It was on our veterans webpage for Clackamas County. It was also on the VAX page for a short period of time as well. And then I know several of you, via email and handing out did that as well, gave it to folks. I made sure it went out to as many people that I knew in the network. So this was a widely spread survey, and we got 55 results back. And so why? Some of the things to look at is that and this is one thing that I thought was really interesting, 90% of the respondents identified as white male veteran. So although we got a lot of information, we didn't get a lot of information from our underserved communities. And it would have been nice to get a little bit more information from them about their needs. And so I'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute as well. One of the things I did really appreciate about the survey, though, is that overall, the two main themes that resonate in all the answers were the need for help applying for assistance. So, hey, they needed our office to get the veterans benefits in some capacity, or they needed folks like Aaron and Tito to help them with the housing aspect of it as well. And employment was a piece in there as well. And this is what I thought was really beneficial to us as a VAC and the work we're doing around the mental health summit is the need for obtaining mental health treatment. I mean, that was hugely, those two themes were hugely resonated throughout all the surveys. Oddly enough, on the COVID front, many commented on childcare and schooling related needs. So that was a big thing. We did have 12 individuals who gave their contact information and said, please follow up with us. We want to access the County Veteran Service Office. All 12 of them were contacted personally by me via email or phone, depending on how they left the contact. We had four respondents who indicated living outside of Clackamas County areas. So, you know, one of the things we might want to look at is really emphasizing, is it okay to get some information outside of Clackamas County, or we really want to get it specifically from Clackamas County residents going forward in the future? Let's see, I'm looking. One thing I noticed with the survey, and I got this comment from a few people who picked up the survey and we're going to do it. They said, wow, this is a lot, 23 questions. And so, I mean, I literally had a couple of people who picked it up and said, thank you, and then put it back down, right? The written version. I don't know how they responded in the online version, but that was kind of a sense. And then some of the staff that I talked to, both in my office and a couple other locations, said the same thing. This is a lot. There's 23 questions here. The other thing is that there were a lot of questions that people just didn't answer because they didn't have to. And the challenge with that a little bit is like, if you rated the county veteran service officer with stars, it doesn't matter to me whether you rated our office as a 1 or a 5. What mattered to me is, why did you rate our office that way? And so we didn't always have enough information to know why somebody was rating our office in particular. In some cases, it had nothing to do with our office. They would rate our office as a 2. And the response was, well, it took forever to get my VA benefits. I feel you, but that wasn't something that our office has any control over. We don't adjudicate claims. We advocate on your behalf, and we have no control over timelines. So would really like to see, as we move forward in those things, if we're rating a particular office or a particular program, let's be really clear with the respondent that we want to know why. Why are you rating this office this way? So that way we can really have a good indication of what's the purpose behind the stars. And I'm looking through some of the other things here real quick. I think I've said, so some next steps that I would just recommend from some things that I was seeing. I would say looking at maybe shortening the survey by eliminating or combining some of the questions. I think a good solid survey is, you know, maybe some of the ones I've seen is about 10 questions. Think about the time frame, and Scott could really help us with this, I suspect, with his background. But think about the time frame you take to do something. My understanding is, you know, when I do a survey myself personally, if it takes more than about 5 minutes, I lose interest, right? So I'm thinking, you know, not as many questions, or maybe some of those questions can be combined in a way. Another thing is, if we're going to ask a question, I feel like we deserve an answer, because we're not asking the question to not get an answer back. We're asking a question because we want to know that information, right? So I would say any question we ask, we should probably make it mandatory. Now, that's a lot easier when you have a smaller survey. I'll just throw that out there, right? And there are some questions that had multiple answers, and I had several respondents, and you'll see it in the raw data where they said it would have been nice to rank them. You know, they had 2 or 3 things that they said, you know, that were important to them, that were struggles for them. They would have liked to pick 2 or 3 and then rank them. I think that's very valuable to us, because we might see some additional themes that kind of bubble to the top that we didn't know about, right? I know that we talked about distribution lists pretty early on and how we want to get the survey out. One of the things I would say in our next survey, is maybe work a little bit around who in the community that we didn't hear from. Again, we had less than 10% that were from underserved communities that responded. So that would tell me that maybe as part of our distribution, the next time we want to market to those underserved communities for a couple of reasons. One, we want to have more recruitment from those communities into the VAC in general, right? And for two, I think it would show them that, hey, we know you went through some struggles, whether you're from the LGBTQ community and you struggled through Don't Ask, Don't Tell, or if you're from the BIPOC community that was underserved in the military when they were in, a variety of communities that we can identify that we know were underserved, not only while they're in the military, but now as well. If we can get some distribution lists to do a little bit more marketing to them when it comes to the survey results. And then we would also like in our office to create a process to send out surveys to claimants who have come into our office. So, one of the things that we could look at is somebody comes in our office. I know Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs used to do this back in the day. They would take a list of individuals that came into the office and they would randomly select some folks and they would send them surveys, whether it be a survey about a particular program that they're trying to survey at the time, or if it's just a customer service survey. And that was a way that they could get respondents and get information from folks. So that's something that we could do in our office with our staff, looking at how to best effectively do that, not create a great big process for our service officers. And then last thing I would just say, when it comes to kind of some recommendations, is maybe not do the paper version. Maybe be very limited on, or if we do a paper version, obviously if it's smaller, emphasize to the person who's taking the survey that we really do want you to complete as many, if not all of the questions as possible. So that way we have a robust answer back to the results. So there's some additional data in the survey. Like I said, I put in the raw data. I took all of the questions and gave you all the number of responses so you could look at that. I put in the comments that were made and that type of thing so you could have them available to you. But if there are any questions or comments, I'll be quiet now and let Adam pick folks for that.
Does anyone have their hand raised or have a question? Larry, do you have a question or a comment?
A comment? Actually, Gus covered some of most of this, but when I first looked, Jerry gave me the questionnaire, and the first time I looked at it, I said, "You're kidding me, right?" It was too long and it was too complicated because most people, I talked to some groups and they didn't even want to talk. They wouldn't even take the thing. And so you've covered all that. But one of the things is it was too general. We might want to target certain things. So we have 10 questions, but they kind of all line up. And so that way they can go through and check a box. And I like the idea of being able to rate them by 1, 2, 3, or 4, just next to each one of them, put what number you rate them as. So that's all. I was going to say something more, but like I say, Gus, you pretty well covered most of it.
And if I may, Adam, for just a minute, one thing I want to be really crystal clear about is I think that for the survey that we did get some really good information, even from those 55 respondents. Like I said, the two major themes about wanting more support to access benefits. I mean, that was like, great. That solidifies the need for our outreach efforts that we're doing right now. And then the need for more mental health support, that really solidifies the work that we're doing around the mental health piece and suicide prevention awareness. So I think in that way, the survey was very powerful for us when we get asked the question of why are we doing these pieces of work? Well, it's because we surveyed our community members, and these are the two main things that they said they wanted us to do, and we're doing them. So I just want us to keep coming back to that. I just think it's a good opportunity to now take it to the next level for the next time.
Adam, we're going to need to cut this short. We do have one important announcement. So Tito's got his hands up, but we only have 3 more minutes. So.
Okay. I would love to continue this because there's a lot that I have.
Yeah. And we can carry this over to next month too, if folks would like. So.
Yeah, if we could, yes, please, because this is important. So we'll continue this meeting for next month. So any comments or questions that you have or more that you come up with, we'll go ahead and make sure we address that at the next meeting. Next one is the member comments. I believe Casey. You were the only one that had member comments submitted. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. So we are looking for more people who would be interested in sitting on the Behavioral Health Suicide Prevention Subcommittee. We are in the process of putting together a mental health summit towards the end of the year. This will be a day-long summit. We're really excited about it. We've got some really great partners. The Clackamas County Behavioral Health, the Suicide Prevention Team, Care Oregon, Returning Veterans Project. And I am meeting next week with the Executive Director of Multnomah County, NAMI Multnomah, who does a lot of programs for veterans and their families surrounding peer-to-peer and mental health. So we're looking for people who would like to join. Going forward, we are meeting twice a month. We meet on the second Thursday of the month, and we meet the fourth Thursday of the month, the same day as the VAC, from 11 to 12. The reason why we're going to 2 monthly meetings is so that we can start planning and start going forward with this summit. We want it to be very, very successful. So if you are interested in joining or just interested in finding out what we are doing and want to help, please contact Amy and let her know so that she can add you to the email list for the next invite for the meeting. And with that, we are all, so I am the chair of the Behavioral Health Suicide Prevention Subcommittee, and we are looking for a co-chair to help with this. I've been diagnosed with breast cancer and I'm having surgery on April 11th. So I'm going to be out off and on probably for the next 6 to 7 weeks. So it'd really be nice to have somebody to help chair this while I'm in and out. So that's about it. And I think I actually do sometime in the next couple of months. I think the Behavioral Health Committee is supposed to be reporting or something. I think we're coming up somewhere in the next couple of months. So we'll be talking more about what will be happening and what our key focuses will be on the summit. I will tell you the biggest thing is how do we recruit more mental health providers to become trained to work with veterans and their families? That's I think our number one key focus. So yeah, so come check out a meeting and see what we're doing. We'd love to have you. Thanks.
Thank you, Casey. And I'm praying and hoping, as I'm sure everyone else is, for a speedy recovery for you.
Thank you.
Fighter, so I'm sure you'll be all right. We're pulling for you. I do see Lori with her hand up real quick.
Yes, I touched base with one of the directors of the Veterans Village in Central Oregon, and they've already had 4 people transition out into regular housing. So it's working. Veterans villages do work.
Awesome news. Thank you so much. Yes, it's always good to hear. Is there any public comments that we have? I see Don. Go ahead.
Mute this thing. Okay, can you hear me? Hello? I think I muted you.
You're good.
Guys. Okay, good. There you go. Hey guys, I was listening to this thing. You guys got a lot of issues that a lot of the veteran service organizations have. And that is you have a visibility issue, getting out into the public, getting out in the community and getting to know people, and also getting yourself out there. And one of the things that we've done with the Oregon Paralyzed Vets of America guys is that we have an electronic billboard campaign that we have down in the Salem area. We have 3 billboards down there that are electronic, and they're daily, and we pay about $800 a month for all 3 of them to run. They're really good. They do a lot for bringing in people to our website, but also into organization and asking questions. Another thing that the gentleman mentioned about how do they know about me, and If you get a federal VA home loan, the mortgage company is not precluded from letting your information go about being a veteran in that county, along with any discounts you get from Verizon, that kind of thing. You guys always remember that. Anytime you get a discount, that's another thing. The PVA is focused, the Paralyzed Vets of America is focused right now on multiple sclerosis in ALS veterans who've had separation, MS symptoms within 7 years of separation when they were around the burn pits in Iraq and other places when they served. That's very important. These guys are not getting their benefits. They are available to them if their claim is approved. So we're outreaching as much as we can on that type of thing. Our visibility campaign consists of shaking hands in public, listening to people. We do festivals and fairs, like you guys should definitely be at the Clackamas County Fair. And also other events that you can get yourselves out there. Yes, you're right. There is a huge problem with veteran suicide. I looked it up while I was listening to you guys. There was 150 veteran suicides in Oregon in 2017. I'm sure that totally increased during COVID because I know it did on the other side. Remember, guys, one thing about veterans is, especially when they separate, they want to just get on with it, man. They want to use their whatever they've got going on with their scholarships, their vocational rehab, or if they were trained in the service and now they have a job, they don't want to be a burden, or they don't want to. They're not asking for anything other than, can I get a good deal on a home loan? You know, that kind of thing. That's basically all they're asking for. And that is the one thing. They're very private people. That's what I found out, that the chapter knows this. Most veterans are private people. I've served, now I work. That's how they are. And on the, I wrote down KISS, keep it simple on your survey. Very good idea. And how many vets do you guys currently serve in Clackamas County? That's my last question.
Thank you, Don. Gus, do you have a number for that?
I don't, but Dawn, I did put my email in the email box, and so if you email me, I can get you that number. I just
Would
don't
that
have
be
it on it.
the G Bedwell at clackamas.us?
That's me.
Excellent, dude. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Don. We appreciate you coming and attending. Casey, did you have one last comment to make? I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Not a comment. I have a question. When are we going to have somebody from the Clackamas County Veterans Village come in and talk to us again? We have not heard from them for quite a while. So it'd be nice to get an update on how things are going there.
So we'll take that to the executive committee and see when we can schedule that in, Casey.
Hey, thank you all. I appreciate it. I know we're going over a little bit of time. I just want to make one more comment. If you guys just bear with me real quick. Speaking about BIPOC veterans and reaching out to them. I don't know if you guys all got this email from Amy, the BIPOC Veteran Peer Support Specialist training that NAMI is having. If you guys, I don't know if they're full yet or not, but there is a sign-up sheet if you want to take that training. It is on April 8th on Friday. So again, this is another way that we can all educate ourselves on being able to reach out to the underserved communities that our veterans are a part of. So, and that's it. At this point, I'd like to have a motion to. Oh, Casey, go ahead.
Yeah. So so I work for NAMI Multnomah. They're the ones that do this training through grants from Oregon Health Authority. They're looking for people to take BIPOC community members to take the training. They're looking because they are looking for BIPOC veterans who would be interested in doing peer-to-peer work with other BIPOC community veterans. And so that is what they're looking for. They're looking for African Americans, Hispanics, Native Americans, any person of culture that would like to become a certified peer support specialist. That's what that training is all about. They also do one. They do one for African Americans, and they also do one for the LGBTQ community. They also do one just for the general public, as well as they do one specifically for veterans. So I am a certified, and I'm certified through the state as a traditional healthcare worker, a peer support specialist for veterans. And that's what I do at NAMI Multnomah is I will be seeing veterans on a peer-to-peer basis. So that's what that training is all about. There's actually 2 trainings coming up. One starts April 8th, the other one starts April 14th. I believe the one on April 8th is now closed, but the one on April 14th, they're going to leave open a little longer. So if you know anybody, any veteran who is part of the BIPOC community that would like to become a peer support specialist, have them contact NAMI Multnomah. Thanks for bringing that up, Adam.
Thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate it. I might be signing up for that one. Okay, at this moment, I would like to take a motion to adjourn.
Motion
To
made.
adjourn.
Take a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you, guys. Sorry for keeping you late. Appreciate your time.